What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Writers On podcast, and thanks for joining us on the epic adventure we call writing. We're your hosts,
Holly Robilliard.
Austin Matthews.
and Bob Dotto. And today we're just going to be catching up with each other. There's no topics, there's no special guests. It's just us.
Just off topic.
So I'm sure you'll just tune out immediately. But for those of you who wish to remain, yeah, we're just going to talk about just where we're at. We're doing stuff, we're working, we're writing, just talk about life or whatever. So, but I think all this came about as Holly was texting us. She was out traveling and she started asking questions about querying and just sharing what's going on. And I just thought, this is fun because then Austin had some stuff that he had going on, and I go, that'll be our next podcast. Let's just talk about that, whatever we're working on, right? So, Holly, kick us off.
Yeah. So I was super excited because I finally have kind of wrapped up Heartbound. And this for me is really exciting because lately my mind has just been consumed by all these ideas for the Blood Sky. So I know that I'm kind of at that point now where I need to just wrap this book up so that I can get back to that book, because obviously that's where my attention has drifted. So I decided I was going to query out Heartbound. Granted, I kind of jumped the gun a little bit here because I wasn't entirely, hadn't gone through all of my beta readers and finished updating my things. But in my mind, I was like, I'm planning on releasing this book in October, and I'd like to just query it out first just to see what happens. A lot of the responses that I've heard from people, it takes 6 to 8 weeks to even hear back from someone after you query. I knew it was going to take me a little bit of time to put together the synopsis, which for the record, guys, it's an absolute nightmare. I hated it. But so I thought I would just take a shot at it. And I sent out 20 queries off of a list that I had. And then the next morning I opened my email and I've got 3 responses back. And I was like, oh my gosh, it's been like 24 hours. Now, none of them were positive responses, and that I still don't have an agent. Right. But one, it was really exciting because I did get some feedback on it and on the storyline, which was really helpful for me. And I also kind of went, oh my gosh, I hope that nobody else responds to me because this isn't fully completed yet. So if someone comes back and asks for my entire manuscript, they're going to get it, but it's not going to be like the best possible work that it could be. So I was like having a slight heart failure that I was getting these responses back so quickly. But thankfully I haven't heard back from anybody else yet. So I'm kind of getting the rest of my ducks in a row now.
I mean, if you get a positive one asking for your complete manuscript, I'm sure you can call in sick for a couple of days and get something figured out.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be so exciting. I mean, we all hope, we're all rooting for each other. We all hope we get agents and we get movie deals. But you're still plugging away, Holly, with querying?
Yeah, so I'm still slowly tweaking things, and I'm still intending. So Heartbound was never supposed to be my debut novel, right? The Blood Sky was. And so the Blood Sky is the idea that I've had for this trilogy for quite a while, and it's very well developed. I know the characters in it have more of an arc because it takes place over a trilogy, and that is really my passion project. And I absolutely loved writing Heartbound, but I'm kind of thinking of it in a way as that's my book that kind of I got all my quirks out and kind of figured myself out as a writer doing that one. And so I would be excited if it got picked up. Of course, it's still a really, really good book, I think. But I just thought I would take a crack at querying. And if that doesn't pan out, then regardless, this was always intended to be like an indie published book. Mm-hmm. So I've been trying to work on the side to do other things to set myself up for that. So I actually got my first copy or my first draft for my cover back this week. And I was super excited about that. I went through a whole list of people. I had actually put out social posts asking people for their recommendations. And I have a winner that I have to announce who recommended the cover artist that I worked with, or that I'm still working with. And she just did a fantastic job. Like I gave her like zero. I didn't really have any expectations. I just gave her a brief scene out of the book that to me was something I had always envisioned on the cover. and she just turned it into like this amazing thing that, you know, things that I hadn't even really thought about that were in the book, but weren't really important to that scene were all there. And so I was just super excited about it. And I can't wait for everyone to see it. So just try to put all the pieces together. I've been trying to format and trying to figure out where to sell these books, which is also terrifying and frustrating. And
so in the midst of all that, for me, you raised a good question. Like, because I can imagine you want to set up your own website, your own, you already have your own Instagram, but I wonder, like, if you were to get published, this is something I don't know, like if you got agent and then they pick your book up and with the big house, do they provide a website for you? You know what I mean? Has anybody heard of that? I wonder.
I would imagine you would just provide your own, like
just make your own, because it's yeah, you're right. I mean, you're right.
They're not. It's not like it's crazy expensive, and to actually get, you know, a web developer to do a website for an author in particular, you're not creating Amazon, so you're not looking at like a fortune or anything.
You're right. You're right. And I didn't think that, of course, you're not going to be their Stephen King, you know. They'll pick your book up with that, and then you're on your own for your next book or something like that. So it's probably better that we would have our own website that we can control.
Yeah, I'm sure they would have a moderator or someone who is, you know, making sure you're not posting things up on your website, you know, like chapters that aren't supposed to be released or spoilers and things like that.
Right.
I mean, I would assume.
Or there'd be an NDA.
Gonna throw a free PDF of the whole book on there.
No, that'd probably be under an NDA, like a non-disclosure agreement, where part of your contract would be, you can't share anything. Without their, because it's their property. If they buy it, they sign you on. Now it's their property.
It's also, I think now that times are changing a little bit here, authors are more responsible for marketing. Like publishers want to take on someone that they know can support themselves in terms of like marketing or, you know, media content or things like that. At least that's what a lot of the conversations that I have are like. And, you know, there's constantly this big push with social media for people to be putting their stuff out there. But that's also really hard, right? I really struggled. I was working with both Instagram and with TikTok, and I've really struggled to get my Instagram to take off. Whereas with my TikTok content, it just felt a lot easier. It was a lot more natural. People seem to interact a lot more on there. But the trick is still finding something really interesting that people want to look at. And I was listening to a marketing podcast, and they were saying that you don't want to wait until you're ready to sell your book to start doing this. You want to have that audience way before and have these followers way before you're ready to market your book, right? Because by then it's not that it's too late, but you know, you're a little bit later to the game than you'd like to be.
Those good points.
Good
points. Like we talked to Brittany, and she's got thousands, and her book's coming out, I think, a week or less than a week, somewhere around there, 5 to 7 days, something like that. But she's got thousands of followers. But that's definitely the way to go. Like you want to have them all ready to eat up your product, you know, when you're released.
Absolutely. So I'm so excited to share this idea. I came up with this idea for this indie author book club. And this was something that I felt would be really great for me for multiple reasons, and it's great for everybody else. So on my website, I've set up this Google form that indie authors can go to, and they just fill out the form to join this book club. And what happens is on the first of every month, I'm going to randomly select 2 books from 2 different genres from this list. And I'm going to go and purchase those books. So both of those books are like, that's a sale for that author. You know, it helps to promote them. I'm going to announce which book it is on social media that I selected in hopes that other people who are following are also going to buy that book. And then the last week of the month, I'm going to post reviews. So that way it's getting other people, hopefully, that have bought the book to engage in conversation about it, support the other authors. It's really fun for me because it's a great way to actually like get out there and read books that are not just, you know, from the really popular authors, which tends to be what we do, right? And I'm always saying that I think with the big push of indie publishing, we're going to see a lot more really interesting books. And so this is my way of kind of pushing myself out there and actually reading those books. And it helps me build my followers, and it helps other authors as well.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited.
You'll be like a book talker.
Yeah, I guess in a way, that's right.
Okay. Well,
and it's really cool. I think you get support from, you're supporting the other authors, and so that they're supporting you in return.
Right.
I had one author that I follow, and she's really cool. She's always posting videos. She's just so nice. And then yesterday she had posted something about she's just released her book, and she was at 42 sales for this week or this month. And she's like, nice. I would really love to just make it to 50. And she says, I know this video is kind of beggy, but that would just feel like such a milestone. And I was like, you know what? She's interacted with me a lot on my posts, and we're just trying to support each other. And so I went and I bought her book, and it's actually arriving tomorrow, so I'm excited.
How fun is that?
But yeah, I think we just all need to be involved, I think, a little bit more in each other's community.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Holly, what's your website while we're talking about it?
Yeah, it's I probably don't need to say that part, do I?
No, this is not 1995.
Oh gosh. It's writingwithrobilliard.com.
Okay. And Robilliard is spelled Robilliard. Okay.
You bet.
Writingwithrobilliard.com. Perfect. Okay, good.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's in our links, that we post with every episode. But anyway, what was my other question? Oh, I had another question because I was also thinking about this. I have lots of questions, Austin.
I appreciate it.
I'm a man of questions. So we got the book review. Now, what happens when you read a book and it's not too hot? Like, what do you do with that?
I think
if she picks up my book 3 and she's like, what the hell is this that Bob wrote?
I really believe so. I used to do I still do them, but I used to do a lot of ARCs when I first got into writing, because I wanted to see what was out there and what kinds of things, kind of figure my way out in this crazy world. And I would do ARCs in exchange for reviews. And one thing that I learned is that no matter how bad a book is, you can always find things that you like.
Oh, that's true.
Like whether it's a certain character or whether it's, the way that they word certain things or a really unique line that they used, you can always find something interesting about a book. And so that's kind of the mindset that I have, is that, it's the same thing when we have our book, our writing group, and we're critiquing each other's work. It's like, you don't just focus on all the negative things. We find some of the positive things too. And I think that's what people should do with their reviews.
Yeah. No, that's very nice. That's very.
So I see. When you say that I'm good at maintaining character voice, what you're saying is I couldn't think of anything else.
If she says the same thing every time with me, you'll know exactly what's going on.
Oh no, I know Holly is like my harshest critic. So like, oh, cut this, do this.
I've been foiled.
Yeah, that's a fun idea, because I have thought, this is probably a topic we should have like off the air, as it were. But now that we're talking about it, I was thinking about like, what if we read book, like all of us would read a book and did a review on it or something like that. I don't know how that would work, but because there's 3 of us and we'd have to figure out the time and all that. But that'd be fun, I think, just to do kind of like what you're talking about, Holly. Just kind of like a book review every once in a while, not all the time.
I think that we would find one very important thing, and that is that we would have 3 completely different reviews.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people tend to forget that.
Yeah, that's true. We're 3 different people.
Well, nobody can forget that I would have a different opinion than everybody else, because that's my job on the podcast, is to be contrarian.
Right.
So
right.
It's my goal in life.
Because you'll write out, Austin, you'll write out your 5-star review, and then here are 5 and you're like, nope, this is going to be 3 now. Now I'm going to figure out.
No, I'm going to be one of those 5-star reviews. It's like, it was terrible for this, and this, but you know, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, good character arc. Next.
Yeah. I actually put out just that I just drafted up a quick blurb and threw it out on social media and on some discords and was asking people for their reviews on it or their critiques on it. And that is like another perfect example, is that you get so many different responses. Some people are like, wow, I love it, but you know, this should be different. Whereas other people are like, no, I love that, but you know, change this instead. And so it's just always a great reminder that, you know, it's subjective.
Yep. Yeah.
I would rather write a whole book than write a blurb.
Oh, absolutely.
It's really hard. It's really hard. And I have to figure out how to do it because it's going on the back of my cover, which is currently almost done being designed.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that, along with my page count, she's been like, I need your page count. Friendly reminder, I need your page count.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah, you got to know the dimensions of your cover. So.
Yeah, there's that, and then you'll because you're gonna add the blurb on Amazon, wherever you're gonna sell it. Okay, and then you can change as often as you want. And I've changed mine about 3 or 4 times. And I totally forgot about the blurb on the back of my book. So the last time I was at a convention a few weeks ago, I looked at the back and I'm reading it, I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, oh my god.
Oh gosh.
I'm like, nobody's
fair.
Oh god.
I've redesigned my book cover a few times. So I think I'm on my 3rd book cover, but I've never re-looked at that. I don't want to look at the blurb. It's awful.
It's there.
So
it's there.
Like, it's like, I love spoilers, and so I would just be like, do you want to see somebody have all their hopes and dreams built up like they're gonna win, and then they get killed? Let's do it.
Yeah, it's really hard. And it's like, it's interesting too, because some people were like, I think that you're giving away way too much of the story. And I was like, actually, these little parts are like the tiniest possible parts of the story. It seems like it's the whole thing, but it's not.
Yeah.
So then it makes you go like back to the drawing board and you're like, well, what is this story actually about?
I wrote this thing and I have no freaking clue.
Man, I'll tell you, I didn't realize before I started querying, like I know we've discussed this, but I never really realized that your synopsis is not the same thing as your blurb. Right?
Just
like
ChatGPT to do it for you.
Interestingly, on the query tracker, there's a lot of the agents now have a box saying like, was any part of this populated using AI, which I thought was really interesting. But yeah, I was like struggling because I'm like, oh my gosh, like they literally want a scene by scene or like a kind of a main plot point outline of your story, spoilers and all. I'm like, you know, when you look at it on paper, it doesn't look, you know, it doesn't look that good when you're just doing it point by point. But it was a struggle. And then taking that synopsis and like, they're like 2 pages max. And I'm like, oh my gosh, condensing all that in. And then thankfully I had that to try and craft my blurb. It's a tough world out there, guys.
It's rough. We're here for you though. All of us are here for all of you.
I was thinking today, and I'm sure there are books out there, but I'm like, someone needs to write, like, just give me a manual. Like, I just want like a phone book thick manual as to how I'm supposed to be indie publishing. Like, what is step 1? What is step 2? Now, where do I go from here? You know, like there's so many things to consider and think about. And like,
well, as we figure it out, we'll just have to like actually start putting articles on our website.
Yeah, finding your audience. There's all kinds of stuff I never thought about as far as like writing, you know. Because I remember when I was writing mine, I know I want a Victorian era, and I know Victorian era is usually associated with steampunk if it's science fiction, which it kind of is. And I'm like, I don't want to do science. I don't want to do steampunk because it's kind of not there. I mean, there's steampunk readers, sure, of course, but it's definitely it's not as big as back in like 2012 or 2010 or something like that. So I go, well, I'm going to do historical fiction. And then like So I went to go look for those readers, historical fiction, and I'm like, there's nobody. It's even less than steampunk.
Well, I mean, so I will say there is something to be said about having like a niche. So it's like you got a loyal following, and like you think about like even like the cozy video game niche. Like whenever you have like the smaller the niche is, the more loyal they are, and the more likely they are to just like all latch on to something.
True.
So it's an easier way almost to differentiate yourself in such a crowded, busy space.
Yeah. No, that's true. You'll find readers. Whatever you're writing, you're going to find readers. So you just got to find them. That's all. That was my original point. I have no idea.
Yeah,
Still looking.
Fair. We'll find them. They're out there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, Holly's got stacked. You're going to be busy for the rest of your life with all that. So
I'm like, oh god.
But I like your writing. I like your writing club. What are you calling it? A book review, or what are you calling it?
I call it the Indie Author Book Club.
Ah, there it is. That's awesome. Good.
That was as far as my creativity would go on very few hours.
You need a logo, and now you need a new podcast for yourself.
We need to make it all acronymy, like SHIELD, and like just force it in there somehow.
IABC.
Yeah.
The IBIC.
Yep. Welcome to the IBIC, everyone.
That sounds oddly familiar for some reason.
IBIC.
Yeah.
It's been really fun. That's something that I really struggled with, was coming up with content for these social posts. I'm like, I don't want to just sit here and talk about whatever, it's really hard. And I also had, I think I mentioned it on another podcast, but I also started doing these fun little posts, and it's like just dumb things that writers do. It was like dumb things that writers do. And I think a couple days ago, it was like using the same like catchphrase or using the same word over and over and over in your writing. And like, as I've mentioned this for sure before, but there's popular authors who are like on a phantom wind. And there's one popular author who says that exact phrase 5 times in one book.
Wow.
And, other like romance authors who are like, oh, this is formidable or impressive or, for whatever reason, I noticed that my word that I kept using over and over was indicated. And, or like, this is indicating, or she indicated, or that indicated. And I'm like, what the hell is going on here? Like,
it's because you're trying to show, but like still tell.
Yeah, exactly. It was like the worst possible form of writing I could be doing. And now that I've noticed it, I'm like, it's really funny because you can tell it was all at the beginning of my novel. And I just hit a point where it's like the switch went off, and I haven't caught it in like the last like 15 chapters. But it was really funny because then of course people start commenting, and they're talking about like what their like words were.
Phrases or words.
Yeah. My go-to is introductory words and phrases. So a lot of yets and all of that stuff. So yeah, I got called out on it. I'm like, oh man, I do it like 80% of the time. That's not great.
Mine was a bit ago. And a bit ago, and my editor, who we had on earlier, was she wasn't livid. She sent me a message. She's like, if I find one more I waited a bit ago, I'm gonna lose it. I'm like, oh god.
What did I do? I'm gonna lose my flipping mind. In one more flip.
I'm charging another $100. Yeah. So. All right.
Yeah,
Austin.
it's neat.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Nope, I was just saying that's neat to see them.
Yeah. Good response and all that. Yeah. Austin, what are you up to, man?
I'm getting ready to really hit the ground running with some more writing. I'm wrapping up my master's degree on Sunday, so by the time this is actually posted, I'll be hopefully done, assuming I pass my 2 classes that I'm in.
Wow, good for you.
Congratulations in advance. It's so exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks. So I've already finished all the coursework for one of the classes, and then the other one I just have to record a little video going over my project that I've already built. So we'll see. I assume that it's like a formality at this point. Fingers crossed. But then that'll free up some time to actually focus more on writing, because I'm trying to knock out the last bit of 2 different books. So I've got y'all going through the Arcanist cookbook. I think y'all are like at the halfway point, because y'all just got chapter 56, which shit kind of hits the fan around like chapter 62, 65, and then it's kind of a race to the end to fight the big bad. And it should all resolve around 120. For some reason, both my books that I'm working on right now are in that same 120 range. So my other one is, I just published chapter 91 on Kindle Vela on Monday. Nice. And so we've got 30 more chapters. It's going to be 121 chapters. So, and I was telling y'all, I was so excited. I got to write my first time doing enemies to lovers. And I never make romance a part of my stories at all. Like, I'm very aromantic in my stories. But I just was like, you know what? It's going to be fun. And like, I had somebody that went from being the best friend of the main character and like betrayed them and went to the side of the villains. And it was just like, there's a couple of interactions that were already in there. And it's like, this is kind of cute. It's like a very like meet cute, like, oh, I betrayed all of the people that I cared about. And like, here I am being a villain. And they just have like these moments. And like at the end of it, it's like he ends up, I mean, I don't really care if I spoil some stuff, but like he ends up like slightly doing something that's like, oh, maybe he didn't fully betray them. And he's like feeling guilty about it. And then they have like a cute moment between him and the villain. And like basically this whole like them both being conflicted and like just bonding over like, hey, sometimes it's just necessary to do evil and people don't understand that. It's like, so doing enemies to lovers, I still had to be contrarian to make the best friend switch sides to be the lover to the enemy, as opposed to having your enemy become a good person.
Nice.
So yeah, just really enjoyed that. We'll have to go back and edits and stuff in the future once I finish the whole thing and just be like polish that off a little bit. But that should be wrapping up, I think, beginning of October, give or take, if I can maintain pace. But yeah, so I think by the end of the year I should have 2 projects that are ready to go through. It'll be 3rd drafts for both of them, so should be ready hopefully mid to early next year to start querying both of those together, to just, you know, put feelers out and see what that looks like.
Yeah. So I know we've talked about this before, but what was the decision behind the Kindle Vela? Oh my gosh, this is where my brain's at. To it, like, versus just keeping it all a secret. Like, why? Because obviously with the Kindle Vela, you're slowly releasing chapter by chapter, right? So what was like your thought behind that?
I don't really care about being secretive. So like I've been very upfront. I love spoilers, and I also just like don't really, maybe I'm a bad indie author because I don't really care about making money. I just want it to be out there. And so I actually, for the longest time, had a website where I had posted like all of my work. So I had, you know, multiple books up there and everything. And like even the one that I'm selling on Amazon, like I had a whole free version on my website because I don't care. Like I just love these worlds and the stories, and I want to share them with people. And actually, Kindle Vela ends up being more profitable for me. It's a little bit more expensive than people buying a Kindle version, but it's cheaper than buying, you know, a hardcover version. So like that's my big qualm with it is like it doesn't feel great that it costs them more money than a Kindle version. And so like I've kind of thought about it, and I'm like, okay, like anybody that purchases like the whole set, like if you buy 120, or I guess you get the first 10 free. If you buy 111 chapters of this book, like whenever I finish it, I want to have some link at the end where it's like, hey, if you prove that you bought the whole thing, I'll just send you like a copy of the hardcover, because like I can get an author copy for, you know, the printing costs and mail it out. Right. And that way, like they supported me while I was writing it, and then I can send it out. Because like I'm not in it to like, you know, go crazy and charge people a bunch of money. Right. So, but like I like hard copy books, even if I prefer to read them like or do audiobooks, like having the hard copy and being able to refer to it like, is just an enjoyable, tangible artifact. So yeah. Plus the bonuses were crazy whenever I started. So I was getting like $60 or $70 bonuses some months with like almost no readers. So
wow,
it's really cool.
That's nice.
Mhm.
I look forward to $60 or $70. I need to start writing a Kindle Vella.
Well, yeah, and so it's like my royalties would be like $2, and then my bonus
Yes,
would
that's what
be
I'm
like.
talking about.
But then the bonus was like so huge, and like part of it is like they want like dependability. They want you posting like this many times per week, and like, but like it's like anything else with Amazon, it's very like opaque as to how things work and like how do
Yeah.
you get that. So is it
Right.
okay? Do you have to post 2 times a week, 3 times a week? So
Right.
I was testing a lot of it. So I had one book I was posting 2 times a week, another one I was posting once a week. Tried moving it to 3 times a week, just playing around to see if I could get the algorithm to like reveal its secrets.
Mm.
And it's a mess. So I have no idea.
It's probably run by AI, so we're not gonna know.
Yeah, and it probably fluctuates.
Yeah.
It's not like it's set
Right.
in stone. So yeah.
I did
But
have the idea of when I'm finished writing Barbarian Barista to use that as a Kindle Vella read. But I'd rather have everything done first because I
Yeah.
feel that's way too
I would
stressful for me to. You know
I
what
would
mean?
suggest it. It
Yeah.
has been incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
So yeah. And it's like too, it's like trying to be like, okay, I've got a chapter due tomorrow. And I'm
Oh
like,
God.
okay, well, I've got to go through and do like final polishing and editing so that I
Oh
can get
no,
that out.
thanks.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
I
And
can't
so to
do
do
that.
that twice a week is a
Oh, I
lot.
can't even
So,
imagine.
No.
but I mean, and like in the process, I'm like, oh, well, I started out and I was like, oh, it's going to be 90 chapters. So like what I published today, like it was originally, or yesterday was originally going to be the end of the story. Like at 90 chapter, like 88, they were going to kill the big bad guy. And they're like, no, we're going to do another try fail cycle and we're going to add 30 chapters in there, really like give them time to like brood and like how difficult this is and give them struggles. And then, yeah. So we'll see. And then we get one big final showdown. So it'll be good.
Do you know how many words each chapter is?
Yeah, so Kindle Vela, my chapters tend to be pretty short in general. So I think my Velas average about like 1,500, 1,600 words. So they're pretty snippy. Some are as short as 600 because it's the minimum. But I think my longest is like 4,500 words. So it just kind of depends.
Oh, okay. Nice. All kinds of
So,
stuff.
which I felt bad about it before because they were charging like basically a penny for every 100 words. And so I'd feel bad when I was like, well, here's a 4,500 word chapter. So it's like, yeah, pay me 45 cents for one chapter. Feels really crummy.
Yeah.
So,
but then you get more money when you get more
right.
readers on it, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but now it's, 10 cents per chapter, no matter what. And so I'm like, okay, cool. I can write longer chapters and not have to feel bad about it if the chapter calls for it. So, which maybe I should feel bad that I'm getting paid less money, but like I said, I'm apparently bad at business.
Hey,
so
you're getting paid. Okay. So that's
I'm getting paid to do what I like. So
yeah. Exactly.
Heck yeah.
That's how we have to look at it.
That's what we're here for.
Bob, what are you working on these days?
I am neck deep in doing my edits. Here's a bunch of, I printed out my book 4, Coil and Fang, Eye of Eternity. And so I am on, I think I'm on chapter 4 right now. And it's been like a week and I've been procrastinating like crazy. Today I rewrote already in my head. It's crazy because you'll finish the entire book. I finished this entire book February, I think. And I let it sit for a while before I went back in there and started editing again. But there's already stuff I was like, that bothered me. And so today I got to rewrite those scenes and I feel so much better because like, that's just going to happen. But yeah, so I'm doing that. And I know that it's so stupid of me because like I wanted to get this out by late April and that is definitely passed. But so I really don't have a hard date. I find that, as indie authors, it's up to you, right? Like, well, whenever you can put it out next week or you can put it out next year. And I'm just kind of like, I don't do well under like a pressure, like a hard date, because I have done that in the past. And I felt like I messed up a lot of stuff because I was trying to hurry up and get it done and make it look right. And it's a lot of it's time management. I am horrible with time management. I'm going to be watching videos or movies or playing games or doing something else because I'm just a procrastinator. It's definitely hard for me just to sit down and do this work. So I think I can get this done because as soon as I'm done with this, because this is beta readers, that I've got all their notes all over this thing, I'm going to publish it, So I'm going to say probably, like, if I stop procrastinating, I could probably get this out in 2 weeks. Because I already know in my head, there's not too many big revisions, like rewrites. Like I just did those today, 2 big scenes. I know most of it is like, what is this word? Or it would look better with that word, or, something like that. And most of them I ignore because like, nah, that's just the way either they talked or I don't like, the way that what you suggested. So my wife is one of my beta readers, and part of me doesn't like that because she does not like any of these kind of books. She loves nonfiction. She loves true life stuff. So reading this is hard for her. However, it works for me because she's not in love with this writing, and so she can write stuff like, this is corny. Like I posted that on my Instagram. She wrote, this is corny. And I'm looking at it.
That's honest.
Like, yeah. Oh, she's brutal. She's savage. But I feel like I could use that, like it's, like I'm pretty sure we talked about that before with beta readers or whoever's reading your stuff. Like you don't want someone going, wow, this is amazing, and every single page, wow, this is amazing, because you're like, okay, what am I missing? Like what's going on here? Yeah, so she's absolutely savage, and you know what, she was right. I reread that certain sentence that she had circled, and she was absolutely right. It was pretty corny. I have no idea why I wrote that, so I changed it into something else. But anyway, so I'm doing those revisions. It should be out. I should be publishing this, and it'll be up on Amazon. And so for marketing, there's these websites, book clubs that promote your book. I mean, it's going to cost me money. It usually costs me anywhere from, each of these websites is anywhere from like $25 to like $75, but I get a crap ton of readers. I don't know if I could say that, but they're lovely readers. But I'm gonna get a bunch of sales from that. Like, so I need to kind of sync these two up, where I'm gonna have a deal on book one. Is what I do is I get book one to be free on Amazon or a penny or something like that, real low price, so that people jump in there and pick it up, and hopefully they'll see, oh, there's book 4, so this is a series, so I'm gonna go and buy it. So I do get a few of those, but so I'm gonna have to think about that too. I'm gonna have to set all that up with these websites.
Have you ever thought about doing it on the Kindle Unlimited? Is that an option?
Yeah, that's where my books are right now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I mean, it's nicer because for me as an author, indie author, if you do exclusively with Kindle Unlimited, it's you get 70% of the sales. Yeah.
Well, so that's with like just Kindle, but Kindle Unlimited is the free deal, where if they have like they pay for like a monthly subscription, they can read for free.
Yeah.
So like, okay.
Yeah, they borrow it. It's kind of like you borrow it, and then you can't have any more than 10, I think, and then you gotta put one back on the shelf, as it were. Yeah.
Yeah, and something I've noticed is actually, so like I don't know if anybody ever is worried about it, like as far as like how much as authors we get paid for that, but like if somebody actually sits there and reads my entire book on Kindle Unlimited, because we get paid by like the pages read, I get paid more on a Kindle Unlimited read than somebody actually buying my Kindle.
Yep.
Which is crazy.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't know how. That's another big mystery, is like how much money, but you do. Yeah, you end up getting more money.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to a lot of people have the subscription and then like read like a book a month maybe, and so like the pool just gets separated out between the authors. So
okay.
So if you have Kindle Unlimited, get out there and read indie authors.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've said. Yeah, all my books are in KU. I just like it. I know there's a lot of other options. There's Apple and there's Barnes and Nobles and there's I'm sure others that I'm not thinking of or I haven't heard of. But
that was my next question: is if you only exclusively do it on Amazon, or if you also do it Barnes and Nobles and Amazon.
Yeah, it's either wide, like what you just talked about. It's either wide or Kindle Unlimited. So in Amazon like I said, Amazon offers you this huge bonus. If you are exclusive with them, then you'll get 70%. Otherwise, if it's wide, you'll get, was it 40% or 35%, which is still very high compared to an actual traditional published book, which will be 3% to 10%. So it's, but it's, you know, what you want, whatever you want to do. If you know, jumping into Penguin or one of those big giant houses is what you want to do, then please, you know, don't let anyone stop you. But it is something to consider. What's that?
I said penguins are so cute.
Why they are adorable. They are adorable. Yeah.
My biggest thing, I think that Amazon. So for me, I love hardcovers.
Amazon hardcovers piss me off.
Well, and that's exactly my problem. And I was leaning towards doing both for that exact fact, because I know through Barnes and Nobles I can get the hardcover I want with the dust jacket that I want, and that will be all fine and dandy. But I also know, as a reader, I get all my books on Amazon.
Yeah.
So
like, here's the thing: I wish Amazon's hardcovers were even passable. I got my author proofs, and I was like, this is absolute garbage. And I just was like, I had to throw them away. I'm like, I don't even want this. Like, it's so terrible. Like, the binding is terrible. The way that, like, the glue of the, like, actual cover onto the book, it was just it looked like somebody was learning how to.
And this was a hardcover you're talking about?
So like the soft covers on Amazon are, you know, totally fine.
Yeah, great boxes of those. So
but like, they've been, I don't know if it still is. Last time I checked, they were like, oh, we're in the beta of, I'm like, you've been in the beta of hardcover for like 6 years.
Yeah,
like,
right.
No, I haven't done that.
Yeah, they're still, they do like a gloss cover now, I guess, or like a gloss hardcover, which is just literally a hardcover with no dust jacket. So I guess you could, in theory, buy the hardcover and then just get your dust jackets made somewhere else. But then you're ordering them to your house and you're probably going to end up paying more.
And then you have to do it yourself.
And have to do it yourself.
I will look to see if I have the pictures of how terrible this was, and we can post it on our Instagram.
Well, they probably look like textbooks, right? Like school textbooks, like your math. You know what I mean?
I mean,
I would think so.
Yeah. After the textbook's been used for 10 years, like, that's how these look. Like, they look like they were ready to fall apart.
Oh,
like.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's fine. I paid the author copy price, so it wasn't bad. But it was like, I'm glad I didn't just like have this out. So,
right.
Otherwise, everybody would be asking for returns. So.
Yeah. I think maybe what I will do is order those order my hardcovers from Barnes and Noble, and then, you know, do the soft, or like the soft. Why can I not think of words anymore? Through Amazon, the paperback, the soft covers.
Whatever.
Through
Amazon.
Just
furry. Don't worry about it.
The furry.
Can you imagine? Oh.
Hey, that would actually be quite
exclusive. The tactile version.
Yeah.
So I'm doing that. Then I have a Kickstarter, and it's all locked and loaded and ready to go. I have all of my goodies. I have postcards, I have pins, I'm going to design you bookmarks.
Awesome.
Foil etched everything. I did, I went to Mibli and I paid for a new desk cover. Yeah, like we're talking about. So I got the art and it looks amazing. But I got to figure out where these are going to get printed out. Like we're just talking about right now, that you just kind of jogged my memory. Because I was looking at, I think it's called Ninja Printing, or Ninja Print, and they do custom covers for like the minimum of like 50, and a lot of companies are doing a minimum of 500 or 100, and I can't I mean, we're talking about thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
So 50 is, I can do that. But I mean, it's just going to be Kickstarter. So it's, as long as I raise the money for it. But so that's going to be next down the road after this. And then I have more crazy ideas besides writing, which I'm supposed to be doing. I'm just supposed to be writing. I'm also thinking about.
I see you on Discord when you're playing World of Warcraft.
That's where I do my best thinking. I do my best thinking as I'm running around Azeroth. But what am I going with? Oh, I'm thinking about for our Writers Room podcast. I'm thinking about a oh my gosh, Patreon. That's an idea I have because I've seen other author podcasts do the same thing, or writers podcasts. What they'll do is be able to provide exclusives for really cheap. I mean, I'm not going to charge any more than $5 a month for this stuff, and it would just be like exclusive, either just us talking or like a once a month thing. Like it'd be something like this maybe, but anyway, I'm getting ideas. That's just kind of something I'm rolling around in my head because I feel like we're definitely it'd be like all the bloopers and all the off-air stuff that when we're talking before we actually start. It would be all kinds of that stuff.
We got plenty of those.
We got tons of that. We have tons of that, and I feel like it's just money sitting on the table. But I hope, I don't know. So, but we'd have to have. Oh, okay. I'm done talking about that. So that's that idea. I forgot to mention. I have to go look. I wanted to talk about our podcast here and how it's doing. I want to talk about how many listeners and downloads. I'm sorry I didn't have this up before.
Okay, well, while you're doing that, I will say I do have 2 ideas for articles, so I am actually going to write those out once I finish my master's degree. So
nice.
Yeah, so one is about the importance of buts instead of ands, and actually having twists and turns. So I figured I would title it "I Like Big Butts and I Cannot Lie." So y'all can look forward to that.
Yeah. All right. So on Podbean, where we host our stuff, guess what? Oh, we have new listeners. Okay, so this is exciting. This is so exciting to me. We have 554 downloads total of our podcast.
Nice. Wow.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Wow.
That's so insane. I'm just so happy I saw that. So that's on Podbean. YouTube, we have like, oh gosh, I don't remember, 50 something subscribers. So we like to see those numbers up, guys. So if you can just hit subscribe, please. And get us on the board.
In case it confuses you that we say write and describe, what we really mean is
yes.
Like and describe.
Please. They're like, oh, you mean like and subscribe.
I've always thought it was weird.
All this.
That would have been a great blooper right there. And that original the first time that you came up with that.
Yeah, because legit just said it on accident.
Yeah. So 554 all-time downloads so far. United States is our most listened to audience. We have 2. Is this the last month? Let me look at this. We have 2 different countries outside of the United States, and they're not Canada, which I'm very surprised, Holly.
Okay,
wow.
So let's see.
Where are your people, Holly? What in the world is going on here?
Let's see. We got UK?
No. Very tiny countries, very amazing people though. I'm positive.
Very tiny country. How tiny? Are we talking like
tiny,
Vatican
dude.
City?
Not that tiny. That's still, Slovakia and Czech Republic. We have listeners.
Those are tiny.
I mean, all right. Compared to your Texas, compared to your size of your Texas state, whatever.
Well, yes, compared to the Texas country.
The Texas country. Yeah, so we have listeners from Slovakia and Czech Republic. We want to thank you very much for listening. Yeah,
Speaking of
that's
UK,
amazing.
you know, I was just thinking we so have to get Richie to come on our podcast because he is the one that brought all of us together technically.
You're right.
And we have never really even talked about it.
Oh my gosh.
Confession.
Before
we do that, I should probably listen to at least one episode of Richie's
I have.
podcast.
I've listened to him. Yeah. He's got good stuff.
Yeah, I really like that. He has a lot of really cool podcasts.
Yeah.
Actually, I listened to his one on Magic Systems. But like love his community, just does such a great job. So if y'all haven't checked it out, you have to go check out his podcast. It's great.
Yeah.
So
and then from the United States, we have the most listeners in California. Second most, Virginia. Is that fun?
Wow.
Is that fun?
That's so cool.
Third is Texas. Third is Texas, of course. And then all the way down to Wisconsin. I mean, we got everybody in here. This is fun.
There you go.
Yeah. Everyone was thinking it would just be me and just you guys listening, but it's actually more people than that.
Well, thank you, everybody who's listening. That's kind of just made all of our day.
Yeah. 100%. That was so fun. I just thought that was so amazing. So, yeah, if you're listening in Czech Republic or Slovakia, thank you so much. And please send us your favorite desserts. So, yeah, so that's it. I think that's all I had. I can't think of other crazy ideas I had. Nope, that's it.
I don't know. Oh, but I did add one thing randomly in the last couple of chapters to the Arcanist cookbook that has been really interesting, and I don't know how long I'm going to maintain it. But I've started adding codes to it because I did it for the one chapter. And then I've started adding it to the other letters without calling attention to it. And so I think I might just do it for the rest of the book and just add like this extra layer. So
a code of
that's so fun.
Like, so you have to figure something out. And
you know, I totally missed it on that first one. It just went right. And I love stuff like that. Like, I think I'm such a nerd. I love those kinds of things. And it just went right over my head. Like, but I think also I was so busy just critiquing.
No, that's fair. So like that's the thing is you're being so critical. Yeah. So like that's the thing is like the postscript had a footnote of like, oh hey, this, and then like it was broken down in the end note, like, hey, there's like a hidden message here. This is the rules of the hidden message, and that's the only time I address it. But then in other letters, I use that same code that it was just explained to actually go through and send messages back and forth between the different characters, hidden from anybody that might be prying.
Ooh, that is exciting.
Yeah, so I'm like, how complicated can I make this? Like, I've got footnotes and endnotes and coded messages.
Glossary.
Yeah.
A map that if you hold it in the mirror upside down, it like spells something, you know.
And whenever I finish it, I got to put an index in there. It's going to be great. So.
Arcanist cookbook. Coming to you soon.
Yeah, how to cook Arcanists.
I'm so excited that we've got some horror writers coming up soon. I'm hoping that one of them is really good at writing or doing creatures, because as you know, or as you're starting to see from Heartbound, I've got quite a few little creepy creatures in there.
Oh yes. Your
Nixa?
It's
been so fun. Yeah. The Nixa.
I will say that's the next thing I want to work on is go back to my sci-fi horror and really dig into that. Like it's gonna be fun.
Okay. I love horror. I love Halloween. Growing up, it's really funny. My mom, she never had Halloween growing up, and my dad is a Halloween junkie. And so I get it from him. Like anything creepy, scary, gross, we're all about it. And so for me, that was like something that it just happened to be when I started writing this book that I just somehow creatures got brought into it. And I was like, well, I don't want to just have regular creatures. I want to create creatures. And it's been challenging, but it's also been super fun. Like I've been taking like a normal creature, like I have a crab, but it's kind of been mutated. So it has like the shell of a crab, but its eyes are like coming way up here on like stalks, and it's got, you know, all kinds of crazy legs and barbed tails. And it's just been so much fun creating these creatures that I just like, but now I want to do it in a way that's like scary, you know, like I don't want them to be like just cool. I want them to be freaky. So
Yeah, I might have to submit to our writing group as a break from the Arcanist Cookbook some of my like horror scenes and see how people react.
Yeah.
So, because it would be interesting. That'd be very key to get some feedback on those. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, I forgot 2 things. As far as Coil and Fang, so book number 4 be published soon. Okay, and then I forgot about my short story that I'm writing. Oh no, it's a novella. I have a short story and novella.
Well, you're busy.
I'm just so stupid busy. That's why I'm playing World of Warcraft all the time. But yeah, so Coil and Fang, Death by Invitation Only is going to be a free novella that I'm going to post up on Amazon, and hopefully that'll be like a lead magnet. And then I'm writing a short story. I think it's going to be a collection of short stories. This one is about Coil when she was about 12 years old, and then I'm going to write one about Fang. And so anyway, so somebody said I should make like a little collection and sell that, like short story something. So anyway, that's it. That's what I remembered. Okay, now I'm done.
There you go.
I'm done. That'll take me till 2026 or something. But
I was flying back. I ended up getting stuck in an airport on my way home from Oklahoma this week. Or last week, and I was chatting with a couple of my girlfriends that I've known for over 30 years now. And we were all talking about how our dating lives have progressed over the years and with online dating and things like that. And I was like, one of my girlfriends is like, you should write a book based on our dating lives. And me immediately, I'm like, I should write a book on our dating lives but if we all had power, like magical powers, right?
Yeah, there you go.
So
like your own witches.
Already like my brain just is like already starting to go, and I'm like, and it would be perfect because I already know all these stories. It's not like I have to recreate the wheel here.
Right.
I just got to kind of work them around.
Right.
And something that you said earlier, Austin, I have to read this to you guys because I came up immediately with the first chapter.
Oh.
Or not the first. I'm not going to read the whole first chapter, but I just came up. I came up with.
Don't worry, we're only an hour in. We're going to read the whole thing.
Yeah, read slow.
But it made me laugh so hard because I'm like, I already know the title. So the big thing right now is I think it's still the big thing, but is the Tinder dating. So you like swipe left or swipe right if you like someone, left if you don't. And I'm like, all right, the title of this book, and I'm saying this right now because I swear one day I will publish this, is going to be Girl, Just Swipe Left. But earlier when you were talking about this not being like the 1990s or whatever, this immediately made me think about this. This is the opening statement. It says, I'll never forget when I first started online dating. It was back when Plenty of Fish became a thing, and I was sure I would catch the biggest one. It wasn't that I couldn't find a man on my own. Of course I could. But all the men I knew were losers. And like AI has taught us now, if we were patient, the internet could bring us something much better. But I wasn't patient. And back then, we still had to deal with buffering. Sometimes I think we still do.
That's clever.
Oh, and it was just so funny. Now, granted, I had quite a few glasses of wine while I was waiting for my flight as I was coming up with this. But I'm sitting in the airport with my laptop. Like, I'm laughing so hard. I have tears streaming down my face as the girls are texting me and we're talking about this whole book. And everyone is like looking around at me like I have lost my mind. Like, they're like, you're not letting this girl on the plane, right?
Right.
Well, like, I feel like those are some of the most fun ideas. Like, honestly, like we were talking in writing group about like how all the letters get sent in my book. And we like started like spitballing, and we talked about the don't shoot the messenger idea. The idea of like, oh, like we're just gonna have like a short story series of like them delivering all these messages and like trying to avoid getting killed. And I was like, that actually sounds like a really fun series, and I feel like I might have to write it at some point.
Yeah,
because it's like it's so stupid it has to exist. Like I just cannot not do it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and it's fun. Like I have now I have like 3 of them. I used to have like one like book ideas, and I'll write it out, and then I'll do it again like months later. Like, oh, I should write a file called book ideas, and now there's like 3 of them. Like, because it just does not stop. Like book ideas are everywhere.
It's so hard. Like it's like an endless supply.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like that's the hard thing about being an indie author, is not being able to do it full time.
Yeah, it is. It really is, because there's just not enough time in the day to get all this writing done.
No.
Stupid jobs.
I know.
Stupid video games.
That's true. If I didn't have a job, I would definitely be playing more video games.
Now, Holly, are they going to be like witches, like in the dating scene or something like that, or what you said, powers? So
yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking like it would be fun. So something modern. So obviously, like, and I think it would be cool to kind of follow that timeline. In age and kind of as technology is developed, because that is still like a really cool thing. And for some people now, a flip phone or a BlackBerry is ancient.
Oh yeah.
But
right, I got really excited about the word BlackBerry. I just watched the trailer for the BlackBerry movie.
Oh yeah.
And I'm very excited to watch it.
I haven't seen it. I have to watch it.
I don't know, in terms of power, like it would just, I don't know, because I always associate witches with like traditional witches where you have to have like a spell. And even in Heartbound, that's like I have guidelines where the witches they don't just go to like poof, like there has to have been a spell or something that's happened pretty recently for that to happen. But also, I mean, when I was growing up, witchcraft was like a pretty cool thing. Everybody was on the internet looking up like what color candles were going to make the guy next door fall in love with them, right? So
or what rune do I need to use and like charge in order to get super strength?
Exactly. So I mean, that would be a fun concept to have it as witches, because it was so popular.
Well, I just realized I was probably thinking of Charmed. That was like that was 3 witches, right? And they really would just do like a fireball. There's no incantation. They would just do it. Boom.
And I feel like we just need to have a discussion at some point of like, in our practical everyday lives, what magic system would we want to use and what power we should have. But that would have to be a whole separate conversation, because this episode is tying up.
Nope. We're going into hour 2, guys. Guess what?
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and do another introduction real quick, so we can get 2 episodes out of today.
Let's go potty. We're gonna go potty and then come right back.
See, this is what happens when we don't have a strict topic. It's just we could just go on forever.
Yeah, and this is a blast. Well, I hope it's a blast for those few listeners.
Sorry, y'all. Although I will say, I do have a new favorite superpower that I got from writing this book, and so the guy that betrays everybody, the best superpower.
Well, what is it?
He has boundary manipulation.
Oh, that's a good one.
So it's like can change anything from boiling point to if you like him or not. So it's like just pushes things to one side of the boundary or other.
Right.
So
nice. Yeah. Mine would still be super speed, like the Flash or Quicksilver.
Yeah, I got asked in an interview whether I would want to have, I think it was super speed or flying. And I was like, dude, the worst superpower in the real world is flying. He's like, why? And I was like, do you know how quickly you would get collected by the government if you just start flying? And he's like, oh, that's a really good point. Probably not the answer you were looking for.
Collected.
I don't know what mine would be. I think mind reading would be pretty hilarious, or like being able to project thoughts into other people's minds. Like, that would be really, really fun to just like
Inception.
Be in like I love being in meetings and like texting one of my coworkers, and they're like on a virtual meeting and just like seeing their expression. But it would be so much more fun if that was just like popping into their head.
Like, very dangerous power.
Yeah, that would be. I love it. Yeah. That's funny. All of us like pick powers that are not really necessarily like goody, you know what I mean? Like we're not, we just want to kind of mess with people.
And this is why we're all authors.
Yes. Struggling authors. So yeah. All right. Yeah. That's it. For now.
All right. So do we have a don't section today?
I don't know. I don't know what we would talk about. Don't what? Like we didn't really. I mean, if you have one,
about a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I know. We talked about it.
Hey, we never have one going into it anyway, so let's figure it out. What do we got?
Yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah, we can't break tradition. We'll lose all of our losers. Listeners.
Oh my gosh, Holly! We only have like 554 people right now.
Holly,
What is wrong with
your viewers?
Oh my god. She did not. Holly has. We're gonna have to find a replacement for Holly. Good lord.
Oh gosh.
That's not what she meant. I don't know what she meant, but it wasn't that.
Viewers is what she meant.
Viewers,
Okay.
listeners. Did she put the two words together in her head? Viewer and
No
listener. So
Okay.
I'm gonna have a don't. All right. If you're a podcaster, do not call your listeners losers.
Oh gosh, guys. Sorry
Well,
about that.
Holly. Thank you for that one.
This has been our last episode because we just got shut down.
Oh goodness.
Oh my god.
Well, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Jeez.
Okay.
Okay. I did
Yeah,
one.
I
did
think
one.
I'm going to call back to something Bob talked about earlier, and like, don't feel the need to pressure yourself. Like, if pressure is good for you, then like do that. But like, if you know yourself and you know you're just going to like shut down with that, like, don't do it. Like, do whatever gets you across the line. So if that means taking the pressure off and being like, I'm going to get this done. I'm not going to get it done today, but I will get it done. That's all that matters. So don't stress yourself.
Yeah.
Unless stressing yourself helps.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely true. That's a good one.
I'm going to say something that I was thinking about this myself today, and that is when it's time for you to start querying, if that's what you want to do, don't rush yourself. So that was the biggest thing for me, is that I was so excited to start querying that I got on there. I made my list of like 20, 25 agents that I wanted to query with, and immediately just wrote up my synopsis. And then the next day I started sending it out to people. And looking back now at my synopsis, it's good. And it's like a pretty accurate depiction of the novel, but it's not as intriguing as it could have been if I had spent a little bit more time. You know, when you first write something and you're like, oh, this is really, really good. And then you go back to it. That's why we always say, wait a little bit before you do your edits. Because I still kind of had it fresh in my mind when I sent it. And then when I looked back, I was like, probably, I could have made this a little bit better. So don't rush it. Like, just take your time and give yourself, if you wait, I mean, there's no science behind this, but if you wait and you put forward your best work, your odds of finding an agent are going to be way better than if you rush and get it out, 2 weeks faster. So.
Nice. Yeah, so mine is going to be like, don't give up. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but let me tell you something. In the space of 4 years, less than 4 years after I retired, okay, I'm going to have 4 books out. I have a podcast that I created, and these two wonderful people joined me. But I made a logo. I had this idea, I had this inception. So I have like big, crazy ideas like we just talked about. But I know they're going to get done like soon, eventually, you know what I mean? So it kind of, I think all of our don'ts are all kind of tied together, where we're talking about our future, we're talking about what we want to do with our lives, but like it can happen. I mean, I have for the listeners who can't see this, but sorry, but I'm holding up my podcast writer's realm that I sent out to these two wonderful people. They each have one now, but I love it. I just keep this on my desk as like a reminder of like, I did it. Wow. Like, I wanted a podcast and I'm doing it. And this podcast is amazing. I love it. We're having a lot of fun here. So yeah, those big ideas that you have, please don't think they're insurmountable. I mean, just take the necessary steps to get them done and don't give up.
Yeah, don't forget, you got the rest of your life to do this.
Yeah.
And if that's not very long, you've got bigger issues.
Yeah. You just have a more wonderful and more intense time to get it done. So, so that's it. We're going to have our guests coming up pretty soon, so please watch our socials about that to see who's coming up next. We have some wonderful people, like Holly said. We got a couple of horror writers coming in here, so it's going to be fun. So other than that, please, what did I just do? Oh, I tapped something. I thought the screen went black. Don't forget to write and describe. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Please like. And if there's a
Please
thumbs
like
up,
us.
please like us. Please, you're not losers. We love you so much.
Yeah, Holly.
Holly
You
meant to
wanted
say
my honest
lovers.
critique, guys.
She wanted
Wow.
God. She meant to say lovers, not that is just it's one.
And join us next week when we have a new co-host.
Oh my God. Yeah. So don't forget to like and subscribe to our channels, please, at the links below. If there's any links anywhere, so you don't miss any of the Writers Realm content. We always love to hear from you guys. So if you have a question or a topic you want us to dive into, please get in touch. All right. Until then, have a great night, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.